Okay, I think we're now recording. All right, so this is I'm using AI a little bit here, and I gave it my birth time basically, or my birth date, so that it knew my birth chart, and then based on the birth chart information, I wanted to kind of know. So based on my birth chart and where the planetary geometry is right now, is there like a specific combination of cell salts that I should take for this combination? And so, yeah, hopefully I should put the video or the text over here as I scroll through it. There we go. And so I'm a Cancer sign. So this says Cancer and the corresponding cell salt. In the classic tradition, each zodiac sign is linked to a specific cell salt. Cancer, calcium fluoride. So that's the cell salt. Cancer is calcium fluoride. Now, tissue focus. So tissue focus. So elastic tissue, skin, connective tissue, blood vessels. Planetary association, moon. Now, I was kind of thinking, I read a little bit of this before, and I was like, usually I think of full moons and like new moons as the big things, but it's like, okay, there's actually a lot more going on than just that. So, any moon phase could be important. So themes: flexibility, strength, grounding, emotional stability. I'm really needing that right now. The flexibility, I'm kind of into a lot of different stuff, technology, health, this kind of stuff, and other things. Strength, that's a tough one. I feel like to endure a lot, to be strong. Grounding, I do need to ground myself often. Sometimes I kind of am la. Emotional stability, I have been going through, for, everyone kind of always is for their whole life. So it's just like the emotional stability. Recently, I kind of was hitting a period of time where I have gone through, some dark stuff in the past, which everyone has, everyone's kind of felt lonely and maybe a little hopeless or lost at times. And so I kind of felt myself getting back in there, and I knew that I was like, okay, I've kind of been there before. So before that kind of sets in, let's do something, So reached out, thankfully, I've got friends, family, so I was able to reach out. And so it's important to, reach out. Even if you don't have anyone, there are the helplines, and those people really do like to care. Not that I was thinking about, that, but I can understand, I think about people who don't have a lot of stuff, or like family and friends, and that's tough. So there is always anyone out there, man. There's a lot of people. Like there was people that I was wound up kind of talking to, like at stores, that I was like, I don't even know who you are, but we just kind of struck up a pretty good conversation just because I was kind of being lighthearted and whatever. So anyways, that theme is pretty good for me right now. Indications: varicose veins. I do have a varicose vein in my leg. I was noticing that. So, I'm not going to say that that's for sure, but it's like, okay, maybe this can kind of be one component to kind of help with that. Okay, so the general Cancerian salt suggestions, that is going to be calcium fluoride, which is the one for cancer, the home salt for cancer, yeah. Supports the connective tissue, bones, teeth, and helps maintain emotional and physical elasticity. Sodium chloride. So, sodium chloride. Okay, I was lost in a little thought there for a second. Okay, so sodium chloride, natrum muriaticum, sometimes referenced for water balance and emotional regulation. Okay, sometimes referenced for water balance and emotional regulation. Okay, Cancer is a water sign. Natrum mur can help balance emotional sensitivity and water retention. Wow, cool. Okay, so that's something that I think would be pretty good. Okay, so this I think is just general. Okay, general Cancerian salt suggestions. Great, okay. So that might be something to take just kind of throughout the year. And then calcium phosphate. This is another one. So for nourishment, growth, and integration. especially during periods of stress or transformation. Cancer is deeply nurturing. I wonder what that means. Cancer is deeply nurturing. That was kind of like in parentheses or something here. So planetary energy and current transits. So July 2025, Sun is in Cancer in a Leo transition. Solar energy supports self-expression. I've kind of been reaching out, I've been reaching out to family in a compassionate way. I'm not just trying to hang out with anyone. There are specific people that I'm trying to hang out with, heart. And then I'm searching for, maybe a companion or something as well. So heart, vitality, not sure, like energy wise, maybe. Okay, so that was Sun. And then Moon, as ruler of Cancer, the phase and aspects to the Moon are always significant. If the Moon is in a water sign or forming major aspects, emotional regulation and flow are key. Okay, so if the Moon is in a water sign or water sign or forming major aspects, emotional regulation and flow are key. That's that I can kind of resonate with that, I think, is what I would say. So major transits without your current location time. I'll use general energies for mid-July. Okay, so Mercury, Venus. So it's kind of like depending where you are. That's kind of interesting. It makes sense though, if it's energy based, where you are going to be getting different energies. So that makes sense. Mercury and Venus, likely in Cancer or Leo. Focus on communication, creativity, and self-love. Dude, that's exactly, I didn't read this far before. That's exactly what I feel I need. Communication with people, a little creativity, and some self-love. It's kind of interesting, but it feels true, man. Okay, so I'll just give an example of that. So it says focus on communication, creativity, and self-love. There is stuff that I kind of have to do with my place, but, I had a couple family members text me, and then I was kind of like, no, I really want to get these things done. And then I was like, no, talking to, my family and communicating with them, does take precedence over the other things. And so if I need to kind of do that over cleaning or whatever, allow myself to not get stressed that I didn't clean, even though I do need to do that and I'm aware of that, but I chose to communicate with my family because, usually for myself, then at the end of the day, when I got done with the project, I would want to share that with my family probably. And then so, that's what it is all about, actually. And I'm really needing to continue understanding what that means. I say that and I don't actually understand what that means. I don't actually understand fully what anything really truly means because I'm not like there yet, but I'm still figuring stuff out and I'm a little further than I was before. So now I can kind of see a little bit when it says focus on communication, creativity, and self-love. I didn't really understand what that meant in the past, and I understand it a little bit more now. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a look at that and then kind of see, where things progress from that. Okay, so Saturn in Pisces, water to water, emphasizes boundaries, spiritual discipline, and healing chronic emotional wounds. So is it both of those? So Mercury and Venus, likely in Cancer, Leo focus. Okay, so Saturn's in Pisces. So it's maybe like a combination of I'm needing to focus on communication, creativity, and self-love, and then combine those things with boundaries, spiritual discipline, and healing chronic emotional wounds. I would say, yeah, like I was saying earlier, there's, I've been through some stuff in the past, so maybe I could definitely assume that there are going to be some chronic emotional wounds that might need to be healed. And so that second one is kind of more tough. The communication, creativity, and self-love, that one's kind of fun. You're like, okay, but then, okay, now we're talking about boundaries, spiritual discipline, and healing chronic emotional wounds. So boundaries and spiritual discipline. Last night I watched a movie and I felt pretty good about that. But, then I was going to watch another movie before I went to bed. And I was like, okay, I think at that point, because it felt good to watch the one movie. And then I was like, oh, I want more of that. I want more. I want to keep on doing that. And then I was like, let's just not continue. And so I shut off the TV and, well, I'm not going to lie. I let the TV play for a little bit. And then I was like, I'm not even watching that. So I shut it off. And honestly, I found an audiobook. So I'm not sure if that was the best, if that was a boundary. I guess I went from like watching something to like an audiobook. And then, today I was listening to some music. And I was like, I'm kind of distracted with the music. Like I was kind of figuring some stuff out in myself. Sometimes the music is good as a distraction. Like if I'm thinking about like something that can't be helped, then it's like, all right, let's turn on some music and kind of get myself out of this funk. But if it's like, okay, I think I'm actually kind of understanding something, then you're like, okay, now the music is not really a distraction. I'm kind of figuring stuff out. But so the flow, I'm rambling here. We're already at like 15 minutes. Okay, so personalized suggestion for me. So foundation salt, calcium fluoride, my main sign salt. Supportive salts based on planetary activity and Cancerian needs. So natrum myrrh balances water, supports emotional processing, great during moon transits. Kali phosphate, nervous system support for mental emotional stress or overwhelm, especially when planetary energies feel intense. Calcium phosphate for foundational physical, mental, emotional rebuilding during energetic shifts, also good for supporting new projects. So, man, I feel like that's definitely it. So it says, if you're feeling stuck or rigid, calcium fluoride, emotionally drained or retentive, natrum myrrh, mentally fatigued or overstimulated, kali phosphate, physically depleted or recovering, calcium phosphate. So kali phosphate and calcium phosphate. Okay. So it says start with the calcium fluor, add a couple of these in. All right. So anyways, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm thinking makes sense. And these 4 that it has, I'm gonna go in and see if those are the ones that I've maybe already been taking. I've been taking like 4 of them, I think. But yeah. So anyways, this was a little bit of a ramble, but I think it was kind of good. This was kind of a process for me, actually, just kind of like thinking about it. I've been trying to think for myself recently, like not a self-centered sense, but like thinking, okay, these things are for me. These wouldn't be for anyone else, but I could like, making a video because what I'm doing could be for someone else, but not this specific thing. Yeah, but anyways, that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to go in, check those out, and take them. But that was pretty cool. I think I should do that maybe like once a month or something.